Hi everyone, this is Serhat from Resmo. Welcome to today's webinar. We are going to talk about CIS benchmarks today and how we automate CIS benchmarks for all the major cloud providers at Resmo. Before diving into the demo, I'd like to share a few things about how we help with cloud security. Just a few slides, and then provide more information about CIS. Specifically for those who are not familiar with the benchmarks. So feel free to ask questions on Q&A, and after the webinar, I will upload the recording to YouTube, so you will always be able to watch it later. Don't worry. And if you still have any questions, you can always reach out to us on our social media channels or through our live chat on our website. So just a brief information about Resmo. Resmo is founded in 2021. We have right now 100 plus customers worldwide, all over the world. And we have 80 plus native integrations with all the major cloud providers, as well as many SaaS providers. So just to give you a few examples, we do officially integrate with tools like AWS, Cynic, PagerDuty, Datadog, Snowflake, Azure, and all that. So what is the problem we are trying to solve at Resmo? So as you know, cloud attack surface is expanding exponentially. Developers are using their own accounts now. There's just no one account doing all the stuff. Even if it is just one account, you would have a lot of things changing constantly due to the nature of the cloud. Like if you are using the cloud the right way, you would constantly delete, update, and create new resources. And these new resources create a way for attackers to find exploits and exposure points, and they will they are constantly looking at these, and you need a solution that tracks all these changes continuously and playing well with the clouds, the dynamic environment the right way. So we do try hard to match the speed of cloud at Resmo. So there are three main problems. Cloud is really hard to manage now. It's exponential complexity and chaos. Developers are also changing things on production now. It's really hard to secure because there's a lot of configuration happening, and obviously there's no way to know every little detail, and all the providers gives you certain level of security checks, but they do make it a lot of things optional. So you would have to really learn a lot. And nowadays it's really, make it easy. It doesn't make it easy. So the other part is there are a lot of cloud vendors, and each of them has their own jargons, APIs, and features, which makes it really hard to just, do it all this in one place. So we do combine all these cloud providers in one single platform to also make it, these security and benchmark automations very easy. So our approach is, we do approach this as a continuous matter. So we do continuous cloud exposure monitoring. So the first step for us is to centralize all the assets in a single inventory. So whatever you have across your cloud environments in multi-cloud, you would see it in one single place. It doesn't matter which region it is. It doesn't matter which availability zone it is. It doesn't matter how many accounts you have. It doesn't matter, how many cloud providers you use. We would just centralize all your assets in one place, and we will do it in near real time in a secure read-only way. So this is really important. We do play really well with the cloud providers and follow all their best practices when we make these integrations. So the other important point is, if something happens, you want a record of it. So we would record every change, and based on those changes, we would provide evidence to these benchmark automations. And so the last piece is, obviously there's a lot of things going on. So you do want to evaluate the risk associated with these asset resources, and if there's any compliance effect of these risks, and centralize this. So in a world of like thousands of assets, it is hard to know what to focus on. So we do make it easy for you. So what is Resmo? We do, as we put it, we do provide a single pane of glass for cloud exposure management. So we help you reduce your cloud exposure and make sure that you follow best practices, security best practices, and give you a centralized platform, especially for DevOps engineers to query the data and secure their environments in just a single interface with amazing automation capabilities. So what are CIS benchmarks? I'm pretty sure you keep hearing CIS benchmarks over and over again, and there is a reason for it. So the CIS, Center for Internet Security, is an organization that works with vendors to determine a set of best practices for security configuration, and the vendors and customers follow these best practices to provide to come to fundamental security awareness, provide a very basic level, at least a very fundamental level of security. So CIS is important because often you have without a proper guideline, you don't know what to focus on first. So it gives you a starting point on where to look, where to start, and it gives you all the best practices to make your environment secure. And again, the important part is CIS, doesn't just make these things up. CIS works with the vendors, so these are really well curated benchmarks. So these often are not required for compliance reviews and all that, but these are not just these are not like SOC 2 or other ISO compliance reports. CIS is usually optional, but it provides you a very fundamental level of security. So what does Resmo offer for CIS benchmarks? So we do help you evaluate your security posture based on the official CIS security guide. So we are an official CIS benchmark, provider. So we are listed on CIS website. So our official CIS benchmark evaluators are for AWS, GCP, Azure, Zoom, and GitHub are available. So I'm especially I especially want to talk about this because cloud is by default is the most important thing you need to secure, that's for sure. But CIS is for all sorts of vendors that you have critical data. So Zoom has critical data, GitHub has critical data, so you want to follow best practices there as well. So we do provide all sorts of CIS benchmarks across your cloud and SaaS environments. So we do help you track all the activities in near real time and include all the change details, like what happened at that specific point in time, and what reduced your CIS benchmark score, what was the reason, who changed it. So we provide all these critical bits so that you can identify what was wrong and fix it in no time. So the other important piece is these CIS benchmarks, if you follow them over time, would show you your efforts, if you are doing the right things or not. And if you want to also provide a report for management to see, to show your efforts on fixing these security issues, we do offer export, reporting, basically functionality, and you can export these CIS benchmarks as HTML or PDF records using our compliance features. So we do also offer a compliance score for all the benchmarks. So you would see how you're actually, how many of them you are successfully applying and what is your score. And you can get an alert if a score falls under a certain, number or goes above a certain number. So you can start looking at it. So one last thing, if you are not really familiar with CIS or all the other, security frameworks and compliance standards, we do have a great guide, really, great one. I know this is complicated stuff. There are a lot of security frameworks and compliance standards, and it's really hard to understand the differences and what you need to focus on based on, it really differs based on which industry you are in. And you really need to understand why do you need to follow these practices. And in short, CIS is a great way to evaluate your security best practices. And if you want to learn more, again, just go to resmo.com/guides and download the PDF. It's really a great one. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to us using our chat or send us an email at contact@resmo.com. So now I will move on to the demo and show you Resmo in action. So this is the Resmo homepage. So just a very quick overview. What we are doing is we are collecting all your assets, like your S3 buckets, IAM users, KMS keys, anything in your environment. We do have over 140 plus resources, really a lot, and have a lot, really good coverage, even a lot more than AWS native services, and centralize all your assets. So that's essentially what we do for all the integrations we have. And in terms of the integration feature set, we do have about 80 plus integrations right now, and the number is increasing every day. So obviously today the focus is the cloud platforms, and we do have AWS, GCP, Azure, and if you have Kubernetes, we do have Kubernetes. And if you also, some of these vendors are really big, so we do have integrations with cloud platforms, focused cloud platforms like Salesforce, Snowflake, or Cloudflare. So this is really a broad set of cloud capabilities. For CIS Benchmarks, we focus on the big three: AWS, GCP, and Azure, and make it really easy to integrate with those. So today I will mostly focus on AWS, but the others are very, very similar. So for all these integrations, we will require read-only access to your environment. So GCP and Azure, copy and paste a few things and create a key and paste it on our side. So a bit of manual work, still not a lot. You would be able to complete it under 5 minutes at tops. For AWS, it's very, very easy, but we do provide options because we know some of you are using Terraform, some of you are using CloudFormation, some of you just want to use it. So if you want to learn the details, you can go to the detail guide in our documentation and see all the details. But what I recommend is the easiest way is you would just click the Launch Stack button, and it would redirect you to your AWS. And once you log into your AWS account, it would ask you if you want to create this role and assign it to Resmo, and you would just click a checkbox and approve it. And you will go back to Resmo and just wait for 2 to 3 minutes usually, and the integration will be done. So you don't need to manually copy and paste anything. This is the beauty, and we will take care of everything underneath with AWS. So the important part is, if you are using AWS organizations, and if you apply the template for all the sub accounts and routes, we will also be able to integrate through your organizations. So. And if you have, again, any questions, we do only require read-only access to your describe APIs. So, basically we don't have access to your data, or we don't have access to changing really anything. So this is pretty secure to try on production. And just, as an additional, information, we are SOC 2 Type 1 compliant. So this is fairly new. So that also gives you a certain level of trust. So when we do have a lot of big clients using AWS already, so just give it a try, and I'm pretty sure you will discover some, important stuff. So once you make the integration, before diving into the compliance section, that is really our focus today, I want to show you one thing in the Explore section. So under the Explore section, we do have what we call resources page, where you can see your asset inventory. So in your asset inventory, you will see all the resources you have in your AWS environment. In which services, for example, in Athena service, if you're using Athena, you will see data source, databases, tables, all the things you have. So I'm going to show you a familiar, things. For example, let's say EC2. So you will see any resource types relevant to EC2, like your EC2 instances, AMIs, snapshots, launch templates, and all that. So let's go to the EC2 instances, for example. So these are your EC2 instances with all the details. And you can filter things out here. Let's say only show my EC2 instances in my production environment, filter things out based on region, ID, everything you see here. Or you can free text search. So this makes things very easy. And if you want to see the details, you can click it and see your instances important details here, see the JSON configuration. Under the compliance section, this is important, you will see all the rules we are automatically checking against. So you don't need to do anything, these run automatically, you will see them automatically. And you will see the changes happening. So once you integrate, we will start detecting changes. So you will have a record on what changed at that time by whom. And you will see relations. So this is super cool. You will see what are the other assets relevant to this EC2 instance. For example, this EC2 instance has this EC2 volume and uses this, IAM instance profile and drill down into other assets and all that. So this is really super useful for incident response. And, if you want to really, see anything relevant to the asset. So if you are removing something, making any change, you want to make sure that you are doing the right things. You can use this. And we do also provide a tab for CloudTrail events. So if there is any CloudTrail event that is associated with this asset, you will be able to see here in Resmo without going into CloudTrail. Very easy, very clear way. So I will not go into the details, but the search functionality is something we are proud of. If you want to run very autocomplete focused SQL queries or free text search queries, if you want to deep dive into anything, or if you want to deep dive into changes, at a specific point of time, we have a page for it as well. So let's move into the compliance section. So that's really our focus today. So the compliance section is where we first automate CIS benchmarks. So these are really our focus here. We do provide AWS, GCP, and Azure CIS benchmarks. And one of the cool things here, we do provide the most up-to-date CIS benchmarks. Like even cloud providers, usually implement these benchmarks after usually a year once after they published. So it takes time to keep things updated on the cloud side. But we do give you one single pane of glass for all the CIS benchmarks, which very up-to-date benchmark automation. So these are managed by Resmo, so you don't need to do anything manually. We will automatically update them for you. So as you can see, we do have things for GitHub. We do have things for Zoom as well. And for AWS, if you are interested in something simpler than CIS, if you just want to secure your AWS accounts basics, you can also look for Startup Security Baseline Pack, which is recommended by AWS and gives you a very clear way of what you need to focus. But if you want something more deeper, focused also on best practices, not just the fundamentals, you can always look for CIS benchmarks. So let's go to the most up-to-date one, AWS CIS benchmark. So this is your AWS CIS benchmarks homepage. In this page, you will be able to see how your compliance score changes over time. So if there is any change in a rule, you will see it here, and the status over time if there is any change. And we also have a simple text here sharing what this CIS benchmarks means and give you a link on the details of the benchmark. As you can see, this is a standard benchmark, so we have a label for it, so you can filter it and managed by us. And you can see here we have 21 passing controls and 37 failing controls. So under the control section, so if you let me give you a few fundamentals. So CIS benchmarks have a construct called controls. So under controls, you will see a set of things you need to do. So for AWS, for example, they do have 5 important pillars: identity and access management, storage, logging, networking, and monitoring and networking. So if you click the information button here, you will be able to see what this actually is. So let's click. So under identity and access management, there are a lot of different controls, as you can see. So let's say maintain current contact details. So, or ensure security contact information is registered. So most of these, controls have rules attached to them. What rules are? We do have automated security checks, what we call rules. So for example, CIS Benchmarks asks you to ensure security contact information is registered. So there has to be a security contact in your AWS account. We do have a rule for that. So if you click that, you will see, we will redirect you to the rules section, to the relevant rule. And here you will see what this means and what are the relevant compliance specs with this rule and what is the result. So this is like to show you if there is any account that doesn't have the security contact set, you will be able to see it here, and you will be able to see the activity here. So over time, how it's changing. If at any point in time, maybe you had a account without a security contact set, you will be able to see it here. And for certain accounts, for certain rules, you may have exceptions. So you can also add exceptions here. So let me go back. So here we have another rule, maintain current contact details. So for only a few things in CIS Benchmarks, we do have manual things. So we cannot just automate this stuff. These are mostly manual. So for these, we do also have mappings. So you can manually edit these and move the status to warning or no data and update it directly with text, and we will also accept this. These are just for things that cannot be automated, and for automations like these, there will always be things like this. So and let's see, this is a failing one. So let me just go to the details of this rule. For example, AWS accounts should use hardware MFA tokens for root account. Again, you can see the results. What are the accounts that violate this? You can see the activity and all that here. If you go back to the compliance section, you can always try to either disable this if this is not disable this rule, if this is not valuable for you, this is not relevant to you, or if any of the results you can suppress this and we will just ignore it when we are evaluating this. So as you can see, there are a lot of controls that we are automatically checking, so you don't need to. These are all automatically checked. And in your activity section, you will see all the details here. So if any rule change at any point in time, you will see a record of it here. This is really, if you click this, you will go to the detail of the rule. Really, any change in your environment, you will be able to track it. So we do also have export functionality, especially useful for managers or to track your your progress over time. So you can click generate report, include all the rule details if you want to, include rule results if you want to see the assets details, include suppressions if you made any exceptions, and you can select a period selection, like only get the last week's results, monthly or quarterly, for the current snapshot. And once you click, it will take a few minutes at most to generate the report, and you will be able to see the report here, and we will send you an email to your email address with the link as well. So let's click the report details, and under the report details, you will be able to see reports over time, how it's changing. As you can see, there was a change here, what this benchmarks is, and table of contents, overall all the controls, and whether they are passing or failing. You will see it at a single view here. And if you want to see, let's say here, you can click this one, and you will be able to go directly to rule and to control what this means. And you can go to the rule with this link here as well. And if you can always add more details here, like all the assets relevant to this rule. If this is failing, you will be able to see them as well. So these are all options. If you want a more clear, like very on-point report, you can just unmark all the checks. If you want to see all the details, maybe at the developer level, you can check these things and create your report accordingly. And you can always download this as a PDF. And if you want to save it for later, this is the same as the export HTML with suitable updates for PDF, basically. So as you may know, if you have done these audits before, usually working with a security vendor, this would take many thousands of dollars, and you would probably do it every quarter. So this is really not ideal because you are following best practices. If you are not, it could cost you money, it could expose stuff. So there's a lot of security danger. So you want to do this all near real time, and we would help you do it. So one of the cool things here, we have a free plan, and free plan includes CIS benchmarks. So if you add your AWS account, you will be able to see your CIS benchmarks automatically without, paying anything. And if you want to, go back into the history for more than 7 days, and if you want to do some, custom stuff and do these things in near real time. So for free plan, we do daily checks, but for near real time, you would have to pay, but still very, affordable. You can always try this. And we do have 2 weeks free trial in professional plan. So you will be able to experience the whole platform for 2 weeks. So just go ahead and on resmo.com and start your free trial. You don't need to set up a sales call, but if you want, a created onboarding, if you have questions, always feel free to reach out to us and we will be happy to answer your questions. So let me look at Zoom if there's any questions. So looks like there's no question. Again, feel free to reach out to me or my team at either contact@resmo.com or via our live chat, and we will be able to, show you around, walk through the platform, answer your questions around anything. Thanks for joining us. I will upload this to YouTube if you want to revisit this or share with your friends. And don't forget to follow us on our social media accounts as well. So thank you.